Have you looked at the new strategic missiles that India is building? Now, you understand each one of these has 10 MIRVs, 10 nuclear warheads apiece. Are you aware of the range of those missiles? 18,000 kilometers. Now, think of a nuclear power that India would want to attack 18,000 kilometers away from New Delhi. Peru, is that on the list? Think of another one. Argentina. Certainly not India, not even Israel. 18,000 kilometers. I can only think of one. You just take it in mind. Now we're discussing
Take the name. Take the name for viewers' sake.
Well, let's say that if people looked at the political situation in the world as deconstructionism. We have America now, the most powerful military force on earth, that will be 13, 14, 15 trillion dollars in debt, descending into instability. And if you are underestimating the military alliance between Israel and India, it'll involve $1.1 billion worth of military sales, much of it of American military technology, some of it transferred to Israel, which we're very generous about, much of it technology that Israel stole from America through spying, since almost all spying accusations made against any foreign power by the United States, when we're jailing spies for stealing nuclear technology or other technologies, they're almost invariably Israelis.
Why isn't America waking up to this?
The interesting point here is where Sherry's very correct, is if this were 6 or 8 or 9 months ago. But when we woke up out of a bad dream with our banks closing, with our stores closing, with our kids all moving home to live in our basements, when we woke up from the Bush administration, found ourselves in the 2 wars, hated, with one country after another wanting to indict half our government as war criminals, Americans who were believing in the mainstream media are looking elsewhere. And the views that we have, that Sherry, I'm saying, Sherry, you were right 9 months ago. Today, Jeff and I are not public people. We don't come on television. It's not my job. I'm a humanitarian worker, not someone that, and Jeff's an author and economist. We're not political activists. This isn't what we do. And I find that one or the other of us every day is invited on a TV show somewhere, or invited to speak to a government somewhere, only because of the views we hold.
Okay. Jeff, okay, America is misled. The information flow is manipulated. Sherry made, in passing, a very interesting remark.
We're an Israeli milk cow. This is what we're waking up to.
Okay, the Israeli milk cow. The coalition inside Afghanistan has 44 countries. These are European countries. Who's manipulating them? Are you telling me the whole world is now manipulated?
Now, if you look at the nature of consensus opinion, generally accepted truths, right? For example, right now, if we were to try to really do something productive in Pakistan and Afghanistan, which we're here to try to do, if we did the consensus opinion economic model, and perhaps our foreign finance minister might address this, we would create a system whereby we would do the development with a type of, we create purchasing power and money and whatnot to bring in housing and education facilities, healthcare facilities, and by doing that, we'd first have to create debt. Okay, that's the model that we have. That's the consensus model. We're suggesting instead what you do is you actually monetize the physical productive capital itself. So literally in the course of creating the money, you create the physical asset. So we want to go into places like Afghanistan, Pakistan, and say, look, let's bring into being the housing, the education facilities, the health care, the dental care,
an Islamic model,
the clean energy, and instead of having interest-bearing fixed interest debt, we want riba-free debt.
But first, 44 countries have to leave Afghanistan. I mean, you cannot have an expanding war theater and new models of economic well-being being tried at the same time.
I think we can. If on shows like this, people can get that there is an alternative model. Keep in mind, this model is branded as the Washington Consensus. We're, again, guilty by association by this monster model. It creates oligarchs everywhere we go. It concentrates wealth and income, which undermines markets and democracies. Everywhere we go.
But the wrong war has to end. If it is the wrong war has to end for the enabling environment to be created to try any kind of model.
No, you got to begin to build something that takes out the indignity and the extremism that results in it.
Sartaj Sahab, your take on this. You could try these models in Pakistan and Afghanistan while the war is still going on, and we have discussed somewhat threadbare what this war is all about.
Well, obviously the American efforts to develop Afghanistan, democracy of course has failed. Also the money that has gone hardly reached any people. Unemployment is equally serious, and hardly any development has taken place. And American ability to continue to assist Afghanistan after they leave with the kind of bitter and hostile situation that will emerge will probably diminish further. So it is time now for America to hand over the task of development to multilateral institutions like the World Bank and the United Nations, who should gradually take over their activities so that even after the American withdrawal, the multilateral system can continue to help Afghanistan irrespective of the change of government or the regime.
God help us.
In this way, whatever resources are provided will be more useful, and there may be other countries which will come on board at that time.
I have an issue with that.
Okay, go ahead. Intervene. Go ahead, Sherry. Intervene.
Talat, I have an issue with that. First of all, I think it's not about handing over with due respect to Sartaj Sahab to IMF and World Bank, multilateral. We know what their models are. They are also the same Washington consensus. Yeah. And perhaps Afghanistan needs a less of a supply side model. It needs assistance that doesn't siphon off all of the grant aid that comes its way. Afghanistan is unable to pay for itself. It's unable to tax its people. So it doesn't have a revenue chain. It is not a regular state, even as we speak. 23% of its GDP goes into corruption and bribes, and much of the United States contractors are involved in that. Even the US admits that. Now, what we need to look at is if and when the United States and other countries do pull out, who polices Afghanistan? Because this has severe ramifications for Pakistan. If policing Afghanistan is not a project that will succeed with the consent of the region, then we do have a problem.
Okay, let me ask you, Sherry. I need to speed it up. Let me ask you, who should police, in inverted commas, who should police Afghanistan in your view? Give me an ideal situation.
Why not a group of Muslim nations as well?
As well, okay.
Why not a UN force? Why not?
Towards the end, we've got like barely under a minute.
We've been approached by government leaders in Afghanistan to find groups within Islamic nations, including Pakistan, Jordan in particular, that could help train a police force within Afghanistan itself that would
and Jordan is exceptionally neutral in your point of view, in the scheme of things that we have been discussing?
It's they're not neutral. They're considered people that when they're done, they're likely to leave. That's as much as anyone can ask anymore.
With the lobbies that we have been discussing?
Oh, Jordan is very closely aligned to that other country. We have no doubt about that. But the critical issue is that we're currently training a 1.4 million member police force, 70% of Northern Alliance tribes, to use in the South, essentially. And
people who speak Dari, not even Pashto.
Yeah. And the evidence we have so far is that these police are operating as criminal gangs themselves, and they're only going to lead to more and more violence and instability.
Gordon, you're going to get me going on another subject altogether, and we'll spend the rest of the evening here. That is the nature of Afghan police.
The nature of television is that you reach the end, the knob gets turned up.
Unfortunately, that's the way it goes. Jeff Gates, Gordon Duff, Sartaj Aziz, Sherry Rahman Sahaba, thank you so very much for having this discussion. Very important one, Nazin. हमारी तरफ से आज सिर्फ यही कुछ आपने देखा होगा कि सिर्फ पाकिस्तान के अंदर ही मुतबादल जो नुक्ता नज़र है वो नहीं है, अगर जो उस मुतबादल नुक्ता नज़र के अंदर भी मुख्तलिफ किस्म की लेयर्स हैं, और हमें ध्यान रखना चाहिए कि मुतबादल नुक्ता नज़र जो है वो फैक्ट्स में ग्राउंड करे, बहुत ज़्यादा स्पेकुलेशन उसमें नहीं हो. अमेरिका के अंदर भी ये डिबेट चल रही है. हमारी तरफ से आज सिर्फ यही कुछ. इजाज़त दीजिए. अल्लाह हाफ़िज़.